My name is Barbara Allen and welcome to another episode of Born to Win. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a disease that affects people of colour. It's called sickle cell, and my guests today, Iyamide and Ade, will be sharing their knowledge, what they know about this disease. Thank you and welcome to the show, Iyamide and Ade.
Thanks for having us.
First of all, Iyamide, what is sickle cell?
Sickle cell disease is a common collective term given to a group of conditions, a group of inherited blood conditions that affect your hemoglobin in your blood. Now, hemoglobin is a protein in your blood. It gives blood its red color. It carries oxygen around the body. Now, people with sickle cell have a type of hemoglobin that causes the red blood cells, which are normally round. I forgot my props. I usually have props. I forgot to bring my props. Yeah, the blood cells are usually round, and when they go through your body giving up oxygen, they remain round. But people who have sickle cell have a type of hemoglobin they've inherited, which causes the red blood cells to change to a sickle banana shape, and when they give up the oxygen, and that then gets stuck within your blood vessels, causing a lot of pain, known as a crisis. Your audience might have heard of crisis. It causes anemia. Sickle cell anemia is a form of sickle cell, and it causes organ damage over time. So it's a very debilitating condition. So in one sentence, it's an inherited blood condition that causes pain, anemia, and organ damage.
Why is it? Why do you think it affects people of colour mainly?
That's a good question. I'm glad you added mainly, because it doesn't only affect people of color. We have to make that clear that it's not a black disease, but it's more prevalent in people who come from Africa, the Caribbean, Middle East, India, and the Mediterranean. And those places reflect the malarial belt, where malaria is prevalent. And it's thought that the gene for sickle cell, let's call it the sickle gene, it evolved to protect people from malaria, the gene known as the sickle gene, because genes do that. They mutate with time, from nature and all that. And people were partly protected if they carried one copy of the sickle cell gene. Now, to have the full-blown condition, you need two copies of that gene. Yeah. So if you're a sickle cell anemia, you're known as SS. That's your genotype. If you only have one copy of the gene, you're known as AS. The A is the normal gene, the S is the sickle gene, and that's known as trait. A lot of people have heard of sickle cell trait, but here we use carrier. A bit confusing, but they call it a carrier as well. So it was nature's way of protecting against malaria. So around that geographic area that had malaria, people with sickle cell trait survived more, and of course they procreated, with other people, and then who had the trait, and two people with the trait had a 25% chance of giving birth to a child with sickle cell. Those are the odds. Two people, the carriers of the trait, at every pregnancy there's a 25% chance they will have a child with sickle cell.
We're going to go into that a bit more. How long have you been involved with sickle cell, and why? Why did you?
She brought it to me now. Okay. My late dad had the trait, although I didn't find that out till when he had an operation. He was a doctor, but when you have the trait, you don't really know you have the trait. It's just there.
Yeah.
I started off with the sickle cells, not the society. I worked with sickle cell before. In the 80s, there was another organization in Hammersmith. And I think it was really because I wanted to do health-related things. I did chemistry. That's my background. I didn't do medicine like my dad. I did chemistry. But I wanted to still do things around health. And the fact that things like sickle cell, diabetes, there's certain conditions that are more prevalent in Black people. And I wanted to do that. And I wanted to network and raise awareness in our community. So that's basically why I went to the Sickle Cell Society, and previously the Sickle Cell Foundation in Hammersmith.
Okay.
I've been doing it ever since.
How many people
sort of have the condition? Well, in the worldwide, millions, and a lot in Africa, Nigeria. He would tell about that.
Tell us more about it.
But let's talk about the UK. In the UK, It's estimated that 13 to 15,000 people have the full-blown sickle cell condition, whereas around 380,000 carry one copy of the gene. I say estimate because it's only since 2008 that they actually started to a proper register, known as the National Hemoglobinopathy Register. And patients are encouraged to tell their clinicians that they want to be on that. It's not it's voluntary at the moment, yeah. So you can opt out, but it's better to opt in because then that makes the service providers know how many people are in a certain region and they can direct resources. So that's kind of the prevalence in England. We have about 13 to 15,000 people with the condition. Mainly in London, I must add.
Mainly in London.
Mainly in London,
Wow.
about 10,000, around 10,000 live in London.
And do you think people know enough? Do you think NHS service? I know we were talking in the green room, but do you think they know enough about it? Sickle cell anemia.
Awareness has improved, let me say that, quite a lot from the time when the society was founded in 79, with 40 years next year. Awareness has improved, but there's always scope for more improvement, not only just amongst the professionals, but even amongst the public, because I think both the public and the professionals have to work together to continue raising awareness. So, no, the answer is you can go in areas where people don't know about sickle cell.
Right.
And, we just need to continue raising that awareness, really. I mean, in 2000, around 2006, WHO actually had their meeting in Geneva, WHO, World Health Organization, where they sort of declared sickle cell the fourth public global concern behind HIV, malaria, and tuberculosis, and they encouraged people from member states to do a lot to raise awareness on a particular day, June 19. That day was declared World Sickle Cell Day, and the UN actually passed a resolution for that. So it's not just something that I am making up here. It's a UN declared day to raise awareness of sickle cell and put resources towards sickle cell. So every June 19th, people should be aware it's World Sickle Cell Day.
Right. I'm going to bring you in here, Ade, because I know that you suffer with sickle cell anemia. Can you talk to us about how does it affect you?
In many ways, living wise, going to school with friends, socializing with people, peers. It affects me in many ways, especially when it comes to when you're having a crisis, especially people don't understand why you're missing from classes for about 2 weeks or why you're not partying with your friends and stuff like that. And then a week, 2 weeks later, they'll see, where have you been? And I'll be like, I've just been looking after myself, And so it can affect you in so many ways, job-wise, education, family as well, so many ways.
And is this because the pain is so excruciating that you have to be off work or not attend college?
The pain is very excruciating that you can't even get out of your bed.
Wow.
That's how bad it is. So, and it doesn't give you any warning that's coming. It will just show up and say, "Hey, I'm here. Don't forget about me." Because you can go for months and you don't think about having a crisis, but when it does come, we'll let you know that.
And everything just has to shut down.
Shut down, and in that process, you have to have another 3 weeks to recuperate yourself back to normal. To get back to your normal.
So how do you hold down a job and things like that?
Well,
because I know you went to university and completed a degree.
Job wise, I've been losing so many jobs because managers don't seem to understand it. They just think I keep making up excuses and stuff like that, but they haven't actually really seen me in crisis to see. And employer don't really care about your health issue. They just want you to come to work.
Absolutely.
And since you can't give them that full commitment of working every single day, they will give it to somebody else that can fulfill that part.
So there's a lack of understanding from employers. They basically, as you said, they just want the job done.
Yeah, they just want the job done.
Let me just update you on that. In fact, it's good that you're talking about employment because we've recently and we're going to be collaborating on a project on sickle cell and employment with Simon Dyson, who's a professor in Leicester.
Okay.
We did some work around sickle cell and education.
Mm-hmm.
So we managed to get a grant to do sickle cell and employment. So that's hot off the press, I was at a meeting 2 weeks ago, and we'll be interviewing people like Ade to talk about their experiences around employment. We'll be doing focus groups, and at the end we'll be producing stuff for employers, for employees, for the all-party parliamentary group. So we're going to be working on that because we realize employment is a problem.
Well, I know we spoke earlier, you mentioned about the influence of mum.
Yeah.
How did mum influence?
Mom was not growing up in a Nigerian home. Mom doesn't take laziness as well, I won't say laziness. She just don't like me to be weak. She always made this statement like, I didn't born you as a disabled child, so you have to make use. So like when I'm having crisis and I can't walk, she will take out the stick like, you are going to walk by force. If I said I can't eat, she'll be like, no, you are going to eat by force. Then I was looking at her as punishment. But now when I grew up and I said, she was building me to be stronger.
Wow.
You understand? To manage myself. And she's always been there. And mom at best. So if you love your mom, give your mom a big hug because their prayers work. You understand? She used to make a statement as well that, when I'm having my crisis, that I wish I could take this pain away from me. And I used to tell her like, Mom, I don't wish this kind of pain on you because if I see you in this kind of pain, I'll cry. You understand? And I don't want you to have that kind of pain. So Mom was a big influence in my life. She's done very well. I'm 39 years old now, and she's been a soldier since then. And even though our relationship with our partner is not as solid because I'm one of the big reasons why the relationship went down because I'm always sick and daddy doesn't want to be around, And I don't really blame them. Like I didn't understand in them. I don't blame men, But Mom has tried. She never gave up on me, and that's one of the things that we needed is the care that care that's still there that makes us live and makes us stronger.
That's so nice to hear. So mothers, stick with your children, be there for them, be that rock for them, because this is a time when you're needed. They need someone to pull from, and you gave birth to them, and just be there, just like how Addie's mum was there for him. Because look, here you have a product of someone that's gone through it and has actually come out the other end.
Yes.
Ade, I want to talk about the health side in terms of food, diet. Is there a diet you have to eat or?
The only diet that I follow is drink water.
Okay.
All the time. Make sure you always drink water. Just drink water, man. Because a lot of people say they want to drink juice. When I go to the shop and I look at the fridge, the first thing I take is water. I just make sure I'm very hydrated, and the water makes the system flow and also empty out your bowels if you have any bacteria and stuff like that. So just keep drinking water, and it's been helping me for a very long time. Food wise, I eat normal food.
Iyamide, I want to bring you back into this. In terms of projects, I know you mentioned
the employment.
What other projects do you have?
Of the society.
Yeah.
Okay. The society, most of our work really can be summed up under, say, about 4 titles. We take part in research, education, we give support, and lobbying. So most of our work can loosely come under those four titles. As far as support, our latest project was opening an office in South London, where we got funded it was big lottery funding, to do activities and workshops, educational workshops, and Ade has been to 1 or 2 activities with young people, children. They take them to Black Panther, the movie. They went to the society, took some children there, they took them go-karting. And the younger people as well, they've had workshops on self-management,
Okay.
all that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
it's an educational, it's a fun and also education
Mm-hmm.
workshop, and that happens in South London. So that's one of our key projects. It's called the South London Sickle Cell Link Project. Okay. We also have a lot to do with sickle cell screening. I mean, that's my major role in the society. There's an NHS sickle cell and thalassemia screening program in this country. It started really officially around 2000 as part of the NHS plan. Now, that project that we had was to raise awareness of the screening program, and we actually had a film called A Family Legacy.
Okay.
Yes, I'm going to read that for you. It was the project has ended now, but with that one, but it raised a lot of awareness of sickle cell, the myths around sickle cell, the screening program.
Mm-hmm.
They screen all pregnant women to see if they have the gene. If they're carriers, they then call the father to be to come and get tested.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's a carrier, then there's that 25% chance. Then, so the couple is an at-risk couple. They're cancelled and told the odds of their child having sickle cell and what they want to do. They're given options.
Mm-hmm.
They're not told what to do. They're just given options to make
Mm-hmm.
an informed choice. Now that project has ended, but we've carried on with the screening program because there's a time frame for women to get tested, for the gene. They really want it by 10 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
so that they'll call the father, and some will come, some won't come. As I did those, but I won't go on the men today. Yeah, but the number coming for that test, the men, if I don't want to use baby mother, but I would have to. Yeah, if the mother of their baby has the gene, they invite the men. Some are coming, more are coming now because the awareness is there. And some of the men take part in their children's lives when the child has sickle cell.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that film is the story about that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that main screening project. We also do, as I said, a lot of support. We have a helpline. We have helplines so people can phone up. If we don't know the answers, we'll signpost them to the right place.
Mm-hmm.
And all that sort of thing.
All this information is
All
on the
this
website.
is on our website, exactly.
And
There's a lot we're offering the Sickle Cell Society. Membership is free, so join up because it's not just us doing for you. You have to help us to help you.
Yes.
That's what I always tell.
Iyamide, what are the myths around sickle cell?
Oh Lord, I can be here probably all day telling you about the myths because I think you mentioned about a curse. People thinking it's amazing that people still think if you curse somebody, they can actually get a condition or disease. If you curse them in pregnancy, they will end up with a child. These are things that people actually believe. And I once asked a friend in Ghana to write, because she works within sickle cell, to send me a list of some of the beliefs in Ghana, which you have in Nigeria, you have in Sierra Leone. And people travel with some of those myths, in the Caribbean, they have those myths as well about Obia man doing this, that, and what have we. An example, sometimes talk about the Obanji child, Abir, in Nigeria. They used to, even in Ghana, they used to leave children who had sickle cell, I think they were a cursed child, and used to mark them.
When you say leave them
where? By the river. This is something my friend wrote to me and said that sometimes people abandon children because they were getting sick all the time. In fact, one of my Nigerian contacts, he said to me that his dad always used to say that he got sick during pay. Why did he get sick during his payday? To spend so that the dad would spend all the money in hospital. That's, there's
there's a taboo.
There's a taboo around it. And it's because I think people, because it's genetic. And I think a lot of it also has to, and stigma. The stigma comes from parents thinking they passed on something bad.
Right. So there's a shame around it.
There's a shame. There's some men. I used to do a lot of stuff in barbershops, awareness around barbershops with this film. And there's some men who will not think that they passed anything bad to their child. Yeah. One actually said to me, I'm not sickle cell trait, I go to the gym. Look at my muscles. Seriously, these are things, And I said, what do your muscles have to do with your genetics? But this is, it's lack of education around it. And because of blood as well, people equate it with HIV as well.
Right, so it's seen as...
a blood condition. Oh, you can't tell them you have a blood condition, they'll start thinking it's HIV.
Yeah.
So please, we have to get away from that. In the church, let me give you another example. There was a boy having blood transfusions who had sickle cell, because that's one of the ways they manage it. You have regular blood transfusion to change those sickle cells to round cells. But the mom did not tell the boy he had sickle cell. And when the nurse, this was one of the nurses said to me, she asked that parent, why have you not told the child? Well, if I tell him, he'll go to the church and tell all of the people in the church that I have a child with sickle cell.
So there is definitely a lack of awareness of
there's a lack of awareness, and there's a sense of shame.
Yes, because of the lack of awareness. So there's definitely a taboo. And going back to when you said you were obviously you were born with it. So this is something that you've had all of your life, but you only started telling people when you were at university. And was it exactly for the same reason?
It was the same reason. A lot of people just have that thing about it, like when they see you with the yellow eyes, or you've got disease, you understand?
So it's quite bulgy eyes.
Yellow. Because when you're anemic,
and even when it comes to relationship with girls, sometimes I said, can I take you to the hospital to get your blood type? I said, okay, why do you need to know my blood type? Are you a vampire or stuff like that? You know, so there's so many things. Even till today in Nigeria, I went to Nigeria last year, and this child was having crisis, and I can basically see that the child was having crisis. They asked the mom, what's wrong with him? And the mom was like, he's having his thing. And I was like, wow.
She didn't say sickle cell.
She didn't say sickle cell. She said he's having his thing. And obviously, this is rural area where they don't have the information and knowledge about sickle cell. You understand? So I felt a bit like, I feel like there's more work to be done, you know, because people need to know about it, and because of lack of care, people can actually pass from it. You understand? So they need to know what needs to be done, and what's the foundation, what's the rules that's behind looking after someone that has sickle cell.
Ade, how would you advise in terms of relationships? How would you, in terms of picking a partner? Would that be part of your choice process?
Yes, I would definitely say that you should look for somebody that's caring, somebody that will not get scared when they see you in a crisis. I'm just happy that God blessed me with somebody that is caring, and she's been there. She knows what to do when I'm having crisis, like calling the ambulance if I need to massage where the pain is, and even when I'm at the hospital, she will bring food to me while I'm eating if I don't like hospital food. So all of this stuff, you need to be just make sure the person that you knows about your condition, and you tell them from the beginning. You understand? Don't lie to them, because I told my partner straight away. I said, listen, I go through this condition. Even when I had my crisis, I invited her to the hospital to come and see me when I'm in crisis. So to just let her know, like, this is what you're signing up for. If you're gonna date me,
so it's about being honest, being honest in your relationship, letting your partner know that you're a carrier. You have sickle cell anemia. You know, I know the trait is totally, that's not really an issue, but anemia, it's being honest, letting people know that you have it, and then it's really down to them whether or not they're going to work through it with you, because you do, as Ade said, you do need a caring person that is going to be there for you, going to stand and hold your hands at times. So honesty, I think, is the best policy. Iyamide, in terms of a cure, is there a cure?
There's a cure, but let me just pick up quickly on something you said. As Ade is talking about the full-blown condition, and the trait can be an issue when you're thinking of reproduction. As I mentioned, it's always good to know whether you're a carrier, so that if you have a child with another carrier, it's not a surprise if you have a child with sickle cell.
Right.
So it's very good for you to know whether you're a carrier, and that's partly why the screening program is around. But the screening program only screens antenatally, i.e. when the woman is pregnant. That's when the screening program kicks in. But that does not mean you have to wait till you're pregnant, especially if you have other family who probably have the condition. You can go to your GP and ask to be tested. They may not want to test you, but if you're worried that you might be a carrier, then insist on having the blood test. It's a blood test, especially if you're thinking of going into relationships and all that sort of thing. You asked about a cure. Yes, there is a cure, but it's not a universal cure. The cure is called bone marrow transplant or stem cell transplant, one and the same, where they basically change your bone marrow. Your bone marrow is the squashy bit in your bone. If you cut a chicken bone, you see squashy thing. And that cures sickle cell, but you need to have a match, a donor, and there are risks and all that. So it's not universally a cure. So what the majority of people with sickle cell go through is management of their condition. They're treated. And we've recently, meaning the Sickle Cell Society, has launched the standards for the clinical care of adults with sickle cell. This nice new shiny book, hot off the press. Hot off the press, and it's it's treatment for people with sickle cell. We encourage people to contact us at the society. I'll give you the details after, because if you have the condition, you can actually get one for free. Additionally, it's sold for £15 after that, postage and packing. And it has it's the book that a team created. It's an update. We actually launched one in 2008, but it's treatment for sickle cell. And it really is the minimum treatment anybody should get or is expected to get if they go to a hospital, no matter where it is in this country. So especially if you're traveling to hospitals in Timbuktu, well, down by, I don't know, John O'Groats or wherever they call that place, make sure you have, maybe your copy of the standards. Is also online as well. Go to the Sickle Cell Society website. I'll give you that at the end. It's online if you don't want to be carrying this, but you can tell your clinicians it's online. So yes, the cure is there, but it's not for everybody. So meanwhile, let's manage your condition properly and make sure that you live well. Sickle cell shouldn't own you; you should own it. So it should only be part of you. It shouldn't define you.
Exactly.
Get on with life. Ade is getting on with life. They're doctors, lawyers, teachers with sickle cell, nurses with sickle cell. So please don't let it, control you, basically, is what I'm saying.